the Zoom In studios. Jeremy Saltan, former advisor to ex-defense minister Naftali Bennett, pro-annexation activist, and alongside him, Yariv Oppenheimer, anti-annexation activist, and a director with the two-state coalition. Gentlemen, thank you both for being with me. I want to start with, regardless of your opinion on the issue of extending sovereignty, I want to ask, first of all, just about the timetable. Do you think it will actually happen? Will anything happen, in your mind, come July 1st, as Netanyahu again recently promised?
I think that there is a good chance that it will be at the beginning of July, because Netanyahu is promising to his base that he's aiming to go there. He's making the expectation higher, and this is the reason why I think that he will go for that move, at least for now. And also we know that it's a very sensitive thing, and if you will take more time and you will postpone it, you will have more negative voices coming at you, and no one will know what will happen in America. Things are changing rapidly there, including in politics, and in order to do it, Netanyahu needs the support of Trump administration. Therefore, I think that if there will be a window of opportunity for the right wing in Netanyahu, it will happen pretty fast.
Okay, so do you agree, Jeremy, that July 1st will be the date? And if you do, then why is it that we have Likud lawmakers actually saying a different story, that we're likely going to have to wait a little while?
You know, I've been on the record saying that I don't believe that July 1st is going to be the date. I sure hope that it will be. It should be. I'm not sure why we needed to wait till July anyway. Look, this is something that's been talked about again and again and again. We've seen the conceptual map. We know what the basic guidelines are here. We don't really need to be spending so much time dragging our feet. Look, to increase Israeli security, in order to also be able to provide full equal rights to 1 out of every 10 Israelis who lives on the other side of the Green Line. It's upon us to do it right now. We shouldn't be waiting.
If the issue with annexation, what is so bad in your mind about extending sovereignty into settlement blocks, major settlements that already would remain part of Israel in any future two-state solution peace deal? There are major settlement blocks that, even if there is a negotiated settlement, they're going to stay part of Israel. Why not? What's the issue with protecting these hundreds of thousands of Israeli families living in them?
First of all, we don't know the map, and the map is talking, at least according to what we read in the press, is talking about much bigger than the settlements blocks. We're talking about the Jordan Valley, and with the Jordan Valley as part of Israel, there will not be a Palestinian state. It's the end of the option to have a Palestinian state. We are talking about all the small isolated settlements, so we are talking about a much bigger thing than just the settlements blocks. But I'm against also annexation of the settlements blocks, because it's going to be a unilateral step. It's not part of a package. It's not part of a deal. It's not part of a peace treaty. It's a unilateral move that actually declared.
The Palestinians aren't coming to the table. They're literally not answering the president's phone.
They are ready to come to the table, but to discuss on the previous agreements and negotiation, and not to start with the Trump plan. And we know that Netanyahu is not really ready for a Palestinian state, and he's not ready to talk about 67. Nothing that the Palestinian can come to the table with.
All right, let Jeremy jump in here, because I know he wants to.
It's amazing me, right? The Israeli left, when it comes to unilateral moves, if it's leaving Lebanon, if it's leaving Gaza, then it's okay. But if it means a unilateral move where we actually do something in Israel's interest, where we actually increase our security, suddenly they're not for the unilateral move.
It's totally politics.
It is totally for
the people that are dealing with security, and they will tell you that the security situation is becoming worse.
Can you tell me now that there will not be rockets on Tel Aviv if we go ahead and we give Samaria over to the Palestinians?
Yes,
can you tell me that? The same way that you said that Tel Aviv would not get rockets from Gaza?
I didn't say that. You know, it's because there is a difference. There is a difference.
You know what they said in marriage. You know what they said.
Once you sign a peace treaty and you close all the issues, and there is a peace treaty and end of claims, then you have peace and security with the Palestinian leadership. With the Palestinian leadership, yes.
With Abbas?
And with the Palestinian people.
Abbas is a partner for peace?
Until a few days ago, Abbas was helping Israel to stop terrorist attacks against Israel. Now we stopped the cooperation between the security forces. But yes, you need to thank Abbas for the effort that he made. Also, it served his interest, that's true, to stop terrorism and to stop the Hamas fighting against Israel. This is facts, it's not just imagination.
Abbas talks from both sides of his mouth. Look, he went ahead, he went forward with ICC ICC. Now he says he doesn't want to
This
move
is not
forward with
terror.
coordination. No,
It's a
but
political
this is
move.
an important point, Yariv, because now they're saying you can't move forward with ICC if you go ahead and you give up on Oslo. You need to pick a track and you need to stick to it, okay? And the Palestinians are not capable of doing that. They're firing at every place
Jeremy,
they can.
You are not,
you
leaving,
need
you
to
are
go
not
ahead
giving
and be
them any
consistent
choice.
also about your views.
You are not giving the Palestinians any choice.
They have a
By the
choice.
way,
There's an American
way, see
plan
what
on
you-
the table. They are refusing it, but they have a
Of course
choice.
they're refusing.
Their choice
If
is to
I were a
refuse it.
Palestinian,
But there's a
I
choice.
will
Don't
not-
say there's no choice when there is a choice.
Jeremy, the American plan is non-started for the Palestinians, and it's not started for anyone that would like to see the two-state solution. Because when you see the American plans, and by the way, it's the Trump plan, it's not America, because
Last
we know
time
that
I checked, he's the president of
but
the
you know,
United States of America.
we are coming soon to another election, and let's see what will be the result. But it's definitely not America; it's Trump plan. When you see the Trump plan, you see that it's not a two-state solution.
It's amazing. When it was
not a
Obama,
solution.
it was an American plan, but when it's Trump,
a
it's
plan
not.
to make the Palestinian living under occupation and accepting it. And I don't know
Listen,
any moderate
they get a
Palestinian.
state. If you read the plan,
this is
which
not
I'm
a real
sure you
state.
did,
I
they get a state.
This is not a
They
real
get a
state.
state.
You will never be ready to accept this kind of a state. And you know why? Because eventually, when you are blocking all the territory and you are taking all the settlements to yourself, there will not be a Palestinian state.
You know,
this is the goal and
Palestinians
the
said
will of the
no during
Palestinians.
the British mandate. They said no again to the UN partition plan in
They said
47.
yes to the Arab
they
Peace
said no in
Initiative.
60. There are plenty of times.
And they are saying yes to
that was
67.
not that was not an agreement in which the majority of the international community agreed upon. That was just the Arab League that agreed to it. What it comes down to is there have been many deals that have been put on the table by the international community dating back to San Remo, and guess what? The Palestinians have said no each and every time. You might not like the size of it, but they do get it.
Separate from the issue of a Palestinian state and security issues, from an Israeli standpoint, how does Israel remain Jewish and democratic? How do they avoid becoming an apartheid state with a different caste system and a different set of rules and permits and abilities for an entire subset of a population if they extend sovereignty?
There are different models that are out there in terms of what to do with the land if it's not going to be a Palestinian state. I'll remind you that the Trump plan does call for a Palestinian state. But if you're asking for the party position, which I represent, I'll tell you that there is an autonomy model. Menachem Begin, not some crazy guy, but the Prime Minister Menachem Begin was one of the first people to push for this. Look, there are plenty of models in terms of power shares throughout the globe. You can look at the Falklands, Gibraltar, Puerto Rico, Guam. I can continue with the names of the various options out there. Obviously, it is a lot more difficult when you're talking about this area, but with bridges and tunnels, you can create a continuous
autonomy
area.
Autonomy is a very nice word to say apartheid, because eventually, if the West Bank, let me finish. If the West Bank is part of Israel, so all the citizens living in the West Bank should be the citizens of the state of Israel.
We are now, West Bank,
we are
but
now,
that's not what the Trump plan says, and that's not what our plan says.
in Jaffa, and in Jaffa you got people here that are not Jewish, and they are Israeli citizens, and they are voting. And there is no difference between the people living here and the people living in Ramallah. And if you surround Ramallah by Israeli sovereignty, so Ramallah is part of Israel, and then you need to give them citizenship. If you are not giving them citizenship and you're saying there are a few models and autonomy and all that, look at the mirror. It's apartheid. It's the way to make people under your land without civil rights. This is what you are offering to the Palestinians.
There are enclaves throughout the globe. Take out a map. Seriously, Yariv, you are an Israeli. You should not be going ahead and promoting the Palestinian narrative here. You should not be taking this propaganda and giving it airtime.
It's not the Palestinian narrative.
It is propaganda.
It's the Zionist, because you know the Zionist movement believes that we can
models around the globe. Why is Israel so different?
It's not power share. And give me one place, give me one person around the world that doesn't have a state, that is not a citizen of a state.
You want to talk about
so you want to make the Palestinian like the Kurds?
No.
Good
I'm not making the Palestinians like the Kurds.
Thank you very much.
I'm not making the Palestinians like the Kurds, but let's realize that not every nation does have a state, and there are nations much larger in population and in territory, more than the Palestinians, and they have not seen their status resolved either.
I have to jump in here. We have to end this discussion. First of all, I want to thank our guests, Jeremy Saltan, Yariv Oppenheimer. You think this is a debate? Wait till you see what will be happening in the Knesset in executive exactly 1 month when the issue of extending sovereignty is brought forth in legislation, if it happens at the beginning of July. Really interesting discussion. Really appreciate the passion and the arguments on both sides. Great to have you as you really zoomed in on this topic today. Gentlemen, both, thank you so much.